Hello, welcome to PBS Artist Open Studio, also known as the Encaustic Capsule. This is Patricia, Baldwin, Seggebruch. I am here in my teaching studio today, not my private studio, coming to show you a little bit about how I use pan pastels with my encaustic work. Now, this is just one of the many ways that I use them and that they're available to be used with encaustic. But I wanted to highlight this one because it has been probably the most popular when I do demonstrations and students gather just how rich and wonderful the pan pastels are with encaustic. But it's also one of my favorite too. It shows the blending power of all these colors over the wax. So let's begin. What I have here, I like to work on encaustic board is my all-time favorite from Ampersand. But in this case, I am not working on their encaustic board, which is the encaustic gesso primed, pre-primed board. I'm working on their natural wood panel. It's a cradled, heavy-duty panel that's really beautiful with the wax as well. And I've been using it recently for smaller pieces, and I like how it works. So that's the surface I'm working on here. I've put down a layer of encaustic medium, as well as a few colors, so that you can see what it's like to have this process over different colors. Now, obviously I'm working over lights. This is pretty much a white. We've got gray here, and then this green. And what I've chosen to use, hopefully you're all familiar with pan pastels. And the set I'm using are part of my collection. I have many trays of colors set into these beautiful, these are pan pastel trays. They pop in and out individually if you'd like. They also come in sets, and these sets are, these particular three are three that I've been lucky enough to put together with pan pastel and my encaustic kits line. So that's fun to have here in the studio when students come. But the three I have here are the colors I'm going to show you how I blend over the wax here when I'm doing my work. And just for the sake of making it really obvious, I'm using this stencil. This is a piece of punchinella. It's sequin waste. You can get it online at a lot of resources now, I think Etsy and those sorts of things. And I'm applying it with what comes with the pan pastels, and you can buy more from them. It's a little soft applicator, similar to a makeup sponge, but oh so very much not a makeup sponge. If you make the mistake of going out and buying makeup sponges instead of these, you'll regret it. They don't last as long. They aren't as hardy. I've even washed these and put them back to work for me. They're that hardy. I love how they hold the pan pastel in the applicator. It holds on really well and then allows me to dab it into place on the wax. Now the reason this is so beautiful with encaustic is that the wax actually grabs hold of the pan pastel and works over the surface to blend onto and into my wax. And that's what I'm going to start to do here as I'm adding in some of this purple over that. Yeah, let's get the colors right. Raw umber. I am putting magenta extra dark over raw umber here, kind of blending the two on the surface of my wax as I go, which is a really fun and wonderful thing to do, especially through a stencil like this. Now, some of you out there, again, who may not be altogether familiar with pan pastels, heard of them but never worked with them, might be thinking, well, why can't I just use the traditional chalk pastels, dry pastels that I have in my studio already? You can, but you will not get the same effect that the pan pastels offer you with the encaustic. And that is because even if you try to grind those, even if you have schminkies and try to grind them down to a, I'm saying grind, but yeah, well, grind them down into a powder form and apply them in the same way, you don't get the same buttery smooth consistency that comes from these pan pastels and allows you to blend them without gouging and scratching and damaging your encaustic painting, the wax. So they are extremely advantageous, and I think I've been using them for about 10 years now. Perhaps not that long. I should look at my history, their history. But my point being that they've pretty much become my all-time favorite accessory with my encaustic wax, in that they offer me to apply these glaze layers and blend the colors this way so beautifully. I'm going to now, okay, you can see I'm going to actually add a little more depth of color here so that we have some more darks going on. And I want to demonstrate how I come in now over darks with a light to offer an entirely different look. I'll put some up here so it can really play well. But my stencil isn't adhered very well. It's all right. I'm not going for perfection here. Pull it up into the gray there. All right. Trying to decide, no, I will not give it a quick fuse. We'll risk it here. Now I'm coming over to my palette where I've got these lights set up. It's a little bit of a, I can't tell you the color. I'm not going to pop it out. Sorry, my bad. A little bit of a pale lime green going on here. Bringing it in over the other colors. And you can see as I'm applying it, it lightens, it tones down those deep dark colors, which is a really neat way to add tone and texture with the pan pastels over the encaustic. Now I'm satisfied with this. It's gorgeous, tongue in cheek. Now what I need to do is remove my stencil and then fuse. I can fuse through some stencils, but I cannot through this particular one, this Punchinella. It is actually a plastic, and when I apply the heat of my torch to it, it pretty much just goes to pot. So I like to remove it first and really control my torch to make sure that I don't disrupt the stencil if I'm intent on keeping that design very geometric. And I work to keep my flame down and give it a quick fuse. And then the necessity, well, the necessity of this step for encaustic and pan pastel is that it is causing, this fusing is causing those pan pastels to absorb or be absorbed by the encaustic layer that's going on underneath. And the wax actually softens enough to grab hold of those loose, dry pigments in the pan pastels and hold on to them so that that pan pastel is set into the surface of my wax now. Once this cools, I can go back with more wax application should I choose to. I can layer in more pan pastel. This is where I spoke of the layering and the glazing layers that these offer. I can come in and put a bit of collage in here or an image transfer in between the layers, and then add in more blushing of pastel layer and still have that depth to go through and see that image transfer that I've added, and do some more glazing layers and build the depth of color and blend through the layers, because wow, I have a brand new tank on here. It's rather violent. So it allows me to build up that depth of texture, but still have the visual depth that is so beautiful with encaustic. So that's my love for pan pastels in encaustic. Just one really quick demo example here. And you can just see how beautiful it is. If I maybe can hold this close enough to the camera, you can see how those lights did actually blend into those darks and give it a little bit of tone variance, and how the blend of... So sorry about that. That ends with me talking about the blend of color. And it is all there. It's gorgeous. Come on along and try it for yourself. I'm at pbsartist.com. I would love to see you here. There's a lot going on at the Encaustic Castle. Encaustic Camp is held every year in the Seattle area. And this year we're having guest artists into this Encaustic Castle and introducing residency programs. So check us out. Try the pen pastels. Try encaustic. And fall in love like I have.